There are moments in mobility design when proportion alone communicates intent before any badge or brand language ever could. And standing in front of this speculative tri-axle luxury motorhome, the message is unmistakably architectural rather than recreational. This is not a conventional RV scaled upward for visual drama, nor is it merely a luxury coach wrapped in decorative graphics. It reads as a deliberate study in long-range autonomous habitation, a mobile structure conceived with the logic of a private jet fuselage and the composure of a contemporary glass pavilion. Before we proceed, it is important to frame this clearly. What we are examining here is an AI-generated conceptual motorhome created for imaginative exploration and entertainment, not a physical production vehicle. But I will analyze it as seriously as I would any full-scale prototype revealed at a private design forum. The first element that commands attention is the sheer dimensional authority of the form. Visually, this platform appears to stretch beyond 45 feet in overall length, possibly approaching the 48-foot threshold, supported by a tri-axle configuration that immediately signals serious load management intentions. The wheelbase proportion suggests that the front axle is positioned assertively forward relative to the cabin mass, minimizing front overhang and improving directional stability, while the twin rear axles are spaced in a manner that implies deliberate weight distribution planning for a high center of gravity structure with substantial interior mass. Height appears to sit comfortably in the 12 to 13.5 foot range, yet the roofline's gentle arrow crown reduces the perception of vertical bulk. Width seems optimized for highway legality while maximizing interior volumetric efficiency, likely near 8.5 feet before slide-out deployment, with side expansions increasing livable breadth significantly. The stance is low relative to total height, suggesting an air suspension system with adjustable ride height control for both highway stability and campsite leveling. From an engineering standpoint, the tri-axle architecture dramatically improves weight dispersion, reducing point load stress across the chassis rails and enhancing high-speed composure during crosswind events. Unlike traditional RVs that rely on flat wall construction with bolt-on fascia, this concept adopts a unified monocoque visual language. The front fascia is sculpted with continuous curvature, transitioning from a deeply raked windshield into a smoothed roof canopy that feels almost aerospace-inspired. The windshield rake is aggressive for a motorhome, implying an intentional reduction of aerodynamic drag, particularly frontal pressure buildup at highway velocities. Airflow likely channels upward across the curved roof, while the integrated roof spoiler at the trailing edge appears designed to manage vortex shedding and reduce rear turbulence. The absence of exposed gutters, external seams, and traditional RV trim pieces suggests composite panel construction, possibly carbon-reinforced fiberglass or advanced thermoplastic sandwich structures. Surface tension modeling is tight and controlled, with minimal visual interruptions across the flanks. The diagonal livery graphics, executed in deep metallic navy and high-contrast silver, are not merely decorative, they emphasize forward motion and elongate the visual mass, counteracting the inherent boxiness of large recreational platforms. Panel transitions appear flush and integrated, implying tight manufacturing tolerances if such a structure were to be engineered in reality. The most architecturally ambitious aspect is the glass-to-body ratio. The side glazing extends nearly the full length of the central cabin section, forming a continuous ribbon of tinted glass that blurs the boundary between exterior shell and interior lounge. Structurally, achieving this in a real-world production scenario would require reinforced framing integrated within the sidewall composite, potentially utilizing bonded aluminum substructures or carbon fiber perimeter beams to maintain torsional rigidity. The slide-out modules are particularly intriguing. They feature expansive, frameless glass panels that would require careful weight balancing to avoid overloading the slide mechanisms. Electrochromic tint technology would almost certainly be necessary to manage solar gain, especially given the scale of glazing visible here. Acoustic isolation would also be critical, demanding laminated multi-layer glass assemblies with integrated sound dampening interlayers. In real-world application, thermal efficiency would be one of the most significant engineering challenges due to the sheer surface area exposed to sunlight. The lighting signature is understated yet intentional. Slim horizontal LED daytime running lights form a sharp linear expression across the upper fascia, projecting a contemporary, almost electric vehicle aesthetic. Below, the primary headlamp assemblies are recessed and angular, integrated into sculpted housings that blend aerodynamic shaping with functional beam dispersion. This hierarchy suggests a design philosophy aligned more with premium automotive design than traditional RV manufacturing. The lighting geometry enhances the width perception, lowering the visual center of gravity. At the rear, the implied full-width light bar concept would likely reinforce symmetry and create a confident nighttime identity. The polished multi-spoke wheels are proportionally large, likely in the 22.5-inch commercial truck range, supporting heavy-duty, low-profile highway tires optimized for sustained long-distance travel rather than off-road capability. The triple rear axle configuration suggests load ratings comparable to high-capacity touring coaches. Suspension would almost certainly rely on adaptive air systems capable of compensating for uneven load distribution when slide-outs are deployed. The low skirt height implies integrated underfloor storage compartments, which would influence the center of mass and require careful load planning to prevent rear-heavy bias. The roofline appears clean, with subtle raised sections that could plausibly house thin film solar arrays integrated flush into the panel surface. Given the architectural glass emphasis, onboard solar contribution would be essential for energy autonomy during stationary operation. Satellite connectivity domes and autonomous driving sensors could be seamlessly embedded within the roof canopy, avoiding the protruding modules typically seen on retrofit systems. Structurally, reinforcing the roof to accommodate such systems while maintaining aerodynamic smoothness would demand advanced composite layering. The front fascia eliminates the traditional grille dominance of diesel motor coaches, hinting at either an electric dominant or hybridized powertrain concept. Cooling airflow would likely be redirected through lower intake channels with active shutter systems to optimize thermal management efficiency. The rear taper is subtle yet purposeful, minimizing abrupt airflow separation and enhancing highway efficiency. There is a disciplined symmetry to the design, avoiding unnecessary ornamentation. This concept redefines the upper echelon of luxury motorhomes by shifting from road-going cabin to mobile architectural suite. It leans strongly towards aerospace and modernist architectural influences rather than traditional RV heritage. The intended user archetype appears to be a long-range traveler who values design intelligence as much as comfort, perhaps an executive nomad, a creative professional operating remotely, or a mobility-driven luxury enthusiast. This is not recreational in spirit, it is strategic mobility living. My first professional impression is that this concept demonstrates design maturity beyond decorative luxury and instead explores structural integration, aerodynamic discipline, and visual cohesion at a level rarely attempted in the RV segment. It challenges the assumption that large motorhomes must accept aerodynamic inefficiency and visual bulk as unavoidable compromises.
Even without direct interior visibility, the exterior geometry provides substantial clues regarding internal layout logic. The extended side glazing and central slide-out placement strongly indicate a midship lounge configuration, likely positioned over the primary structural frame rails for optimal load balance. Given the vehicle's estimated length, a three-zone layout would be logical: cockpit and forward lounge, central kitchen and dining zone within the slide expansion, and rear private suite above the tandem axles. Ceiling height appears generous, potentially exceeding 7 feet in interior clearance, enabled by the smooth roof crown. Load paths would need to be carefully engineered so that slide-out expansions do not compromise torsional rigidity. A reinforced perimeter frame integrated into the sidewalls would distribute stress around large glass apertures. Positioning the primary sleeping suite at the rear would leverage the stability of the tandem axles beneath, minimizing vibration transfer. Given the glazing strategy, privacy management would require layered shading systems, possibly combining electrochromic dimming with retractable acoustic panels. thermal insulation would need to counteract heat exchange from extensive glass exposure. A central galley would logically sit within the expanded slide module, maximizing floor width when deployed. Appliance integration would likely focus on induction systems to reduce open flame risks and optimize energy efficiency. Water storage tanks would need strategic placement along the central axis to prevent lateral imbalance. Gray water recycling systems could extend off-grid autonomy significantly. A modular split bath configuration would be more practical than a compact wet bath at this scale. Ventilation would require roof-integrated extraction systems to prevent condensation buildup, especially in cold climates. The cockpit architecture appears automotive in inspiration, with expansive forward visibility enabled by the steeply raked windshield. Advanced driver assistance systems would be plausible, potentially incorporating semi-autonomous highway capabilities in a future engineering scenario. An augmented reality heads-up display could project navigation overlays onto the windshield surface. Given the absence of a dominant grille, a hydrogen-electric hybrid architecture would align with the forward-looking design language. High-density solid-state battery packs integrated beneath the floor could lower the center of gravity. Regenerative braking across 3 axles would dramatically improve energy recapture efficiency. Solar integration could realistically contribute auxiliary loads such as lighting and climate preconditioning rather than full propulsion. Off-grid autonomy of several days would be plausible in a speculative advanced system scenario. Climate zoning would be essential given the glass area, potentially controlled through AI-driven thermal mapping. Structural health monitoring sensors embedded within the composite shell could detect microfractures or stress fatigue. Satellite connectivity would enable remote work functionality in geographically isolated regions. To bring a design of this scale and glazing ambition into real-world viability would require advances in lightweight composite manufacturing, high-efficiency insulation materials, and improved battery energy density. Current limitations in cost, structural complexity, and thermal management would present significant hurdles. However, as a conceptual mobility study, this design feels evolutionary in engineering logic, yet revolutionary in architectural expression. It does not attempt to reinvent the motorhome's purpose. It refines its structural and aesthetic execution to align with future mobility expectations. What I find most compelling is not the size nor the luxury implication, but the discipline of its design language. It treats mobility as architecture in motion, rather than furniture on wheels. And in that distinction lies the most meaningful insight. The future of long-range habitation may not be about more amenities, but about better integration between structure, aerodynamics, energy, and human experience. If this conceptual exploration signals anything, it is that the next generation of luxury motorhomes will not merely travel farther, they will think more intelligently about how they inhabit the road.